All right, all is well. So welcome everyone. Welcome to Creative Cloud, and we're going to be talking about ways to share work or files with clients and take advantage of your Creative Cloud membership. So I'm going to show you various ways of doing this, but I just thought of another way, even as the stream was starting. So let me finish putting that way together, and then I will be glad to start talking about the various ways. I just want to do something real quick here while you guys are coming into the room. Looks like we got a good crowd today. Not that we don't have good crowds every time, but looks like an extra special good crowd today. All right. Okay, and let's turn that off and create, and away we go. Okay, good. That's ready to go when the time comes. And now let's go ahead and switch over to the computer. Now we've got everybody here, and we can go ahead and get going from scratch. All right, let me make sure I can see your comments. Ooh, lots of people in here. Hello, Michael Harris. Let's see, Amen, Victoria, Yuri. Lots of folks. If I didn't call out your name, it's because I just didn't get to it. All right. Looks like Jonah. And is that Makesh? Welcome, everyone. Hey, Sylvia, how are you? All right, so let's go ahead and jump to it. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my computer. And I just got my desktop showing here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to start off with a couple of ways to share from Creative Cloud. Then I'm going to show you a couple additional ways, at least one additional way that I just thought of. All right, so first and foremost, for those of you that have Creative Cloud on Mac, you'll know that the Creative Cloud app is in your menu bar at the top. For those of you who are on Windows, you know that your Creative Cloud app is probably in your taskbar or somewhere off to the left bottom side menu. No matter how you get to this application, if you go to the Assets tab and then you go to Files, you will see your storage space. You, as a Creative Cloud member, you have 20 gigs of storage by default. You may have more if you're a team member, depending on your membership, you may have more. But every paying member at least has 20 gigs. I believe there might be a plan that only has 2 gigs or 5 gigs or something like that, but you have some storage, no matter what it is. And you can get to that storage a couple of ways. One way is directly from here. You can open that folder. You can go to your hard drive and find it and open that folder. So if I choose to open that folder, it will show me my Creative Cloud Files folder. Now, if you've never used this folder, there's probably nothing in it, and that's okay. You don't ever have to use this folder. It is not a requirement. However, whatever you put in this folder has the potential of being shared. And that's what makes it nice, is that you have a folder that remains local on your hard drive, even when you're not connected to the internet. The files in that folder will sync to Creative Cloud when you are connected to the internet. Any changes or additions will be synced as well. And there's even versioning that happens for you in the background on Creative Cloud. So this folder, and only this folder, is being managed by Creative Cloud in that way. So if I go create a new folder in this folder, and I call that new folder, let's call it For the Client. All right, and I can see the little sync icon is happening right there, and that's letting me know that that empty folder right now is being synced, and it is done. Okay, so now at this point, if I put anything inside that folder, I'm just looking for something to throw in there real quick. I'm going to put this souvenir booklet in there. It's an InDesign document. And currently, this For the Client folder, I'm the only one that sees it. It's not shared. It's not shared by default. The only person that would see it would be me. It is also synced on my other computer that's running Creative Cloud. So if you have 2 computers running Creative Cloud, it'll automatically put whatever you put in this folder on the other computer. So very similar to Google Drive, Dropbox, and all the other ones that do this kind of folder sharing. What's unique about Creative Cloud in this way is that you have the ability to see more types of documents for your clients can see more types of documents without even having to be Creative Cloud customers, and that's the best part. So if I go to this folder area, I also have the ability to not only just open it on my drive, but I have the ability to view it on the web, and that's where it gets interesting. When you say view on the web, it'll show you all of the contents of that folder on the web. So images, obviously, you'll see right off the bat. But you're also seeing other types of documents. So for example, if I go to that For the Client folder, which is right here in the upper left corner, and click on it, I'm seeing an InDesign document. So if I put that in Dropbox and I did the exact same thing, I would not see the actual document. I'd see an icon representing the document, but I wouldn't be able to click on the document, let alone page through the document, see the colors and fonts, bottom right-hand corner here, that were used in the document, and all the details. That's where Creative Cloud shines. The ability to not only share a folder or share some files like everyone else does, but also being able to see the work that's in those folders. So for example, if I go back out, let's go back out to my Creative Cloud files and folders, I'll see PSDs, which are Photoshop documents. There's a couple Photoshop documents here. Of course, we'll see JPEGs, I'll see videos. But if I keep going down here, I'll even see Illustrator files. So this is an Illustrator vector file, and I'm able to see that right on the web, even though I'm looking at it in a browser and I may not even own Illustrator. All right, so with that said, let's go back to that folder. Now, if I want to share this folder and everything that's in it, then I can use the little menu icon at the bottom right, and I can go and click Collaborate. So there's two ways to do it. Collaborate means I want to set up a folder that's shared bidirectionally, meaning whoever I share this with, they have access to everything in it. They can put new things in it. They can open up everything that's in it, make changes to everything that's in it. And if they make changes or delete things, they're deleting it from everyone's drive in that folder. So that's someone you're working with that you trust. In other words, if I'm working on a team or if I'm working with other people and we're all collaborating on a project and we all know what we're doing, collaborate's a great way to do it. Because then all the changes that are made go across the board to everyone you share it to. And if that's what you want, collaborate's the answer. However, if you just want to send someone a copy of what's in the folder, but you don't want their changes or whatever they do to it to mess up yours, then that's when you would just send a link. When you send a link, same thing. They get access to the folder. They get access to everything that's in it. They can download and use everything that's in it. But if they make any changes to what's in it, it does not affect you. Your files and folders don't get touched by anyone you send a link to. So collaborate, 2 direction. Send a link, 1 direction. You get a copy of it, but whatever you do does not affect me. So typically, these are the kinds of things you would be doing if you're working with someone. Now, I said in the title of this live stream, it was share it with a client. That's a whole different ballgame. I don't want my client making changes. I don't want my client doing any of that. I just want my client to see the work and maybe make comments. So that's a different thing. So let's go in to the actual job and say, hey, I want my client to be able to see that InDesign document, make comments, whether they're a Creative Cloud member or not. And if they, doesn't matter. And they can't make any changes, they can't do anything. So if I do that, that would be send a link. And if I create a public link, then I have some options. I can allow downloads or not. So if I say no, they can't download the actual InDesign, PSD, Illustrator, whatever it is file. They can only look at it. They could, take a screenshot of it, but they wouldn't actually have the actual high-res work. I can allow them to make comments or not. So if I do this particular document, not the whole folder, gets a unique URL that's right here, and only the people with that URL, which they could pass it around if they chose to, would be able to see the document and make comments. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that URL right now, show you how that would look. And let's pop over to a new browser window. I'm going to go incognito, which means no cookies. I'm not logged in. I'm just going to bring up an incognito window in Chrome. Paste that URL in, hit return, and now I'm looking at this as the client would see it. So the client sees the document. They'll see the colors and made with InDesign and the fonts. They can make a comment. They can page through it, but they don't have to sign in. In other words, I'm not signed in this window. So I don't even know what signing in is. I'm not a Creative Cloud customer in this example. Don't care about signing in. I just want to review the work that you've done for me, and now you're letting me do that. And if I have a comment on page 3, I would prefer a better, they always say that, better picture for the top left image. Okay, so for some reason I don't like the top left image. Now, because I'm not signed in, I actually have to put my name and email address in. So I'm going to say, hey, I am Joe, the customer, and my email is joe@thecustomer.com. That's probably not a real email address, but if it is, say hi to Joe. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that comment. So Joe, the customer's added a comment. Joe was able to go through and page through, and Joe can keep adding more comments, or whoever else gets the link can add more comments, whether they're a member or not. How do I see their comments? Okay, so Joe just added a comment. How do I see it? Well, a couple of ways. See that little red dot on my Creative Cloud icon up there? That means something's happened recently. So that's letting me know that even without looking, I've got some activity in my Creative Cloud account. If I go to there and I go home, there it is. Joe, the customer's comment, and I can see the file that Joe, the customer, left a comment on, or click on it to get right to it. And I can see that, hey, there's a link there. I'm sorry, there's a comment there. All right, so that's one way. You'll get notified in your Creative Cloud app on your computer or even on the mobile devices. So if you've got Creative Cloud app on iOS or Android, you'll get the notification there as well. All right, so let's pop out of this window for a minute. I'll also get the notification if I go click on the document in my own browser. So there it is. Joe, the customer, 1 minute ago, said that they would prefer a better image than top left. Now here's the problem. That's not in context with the page that he was on. So I'm not going to know what top left he was talking about. That is a downside. But other than that, because he's not writing the comment on the actual document, they're just making comments on the document overall. So I might have to go back to Joe, the customer, and say, which top left image are you referring to on what page? So, or you might tell your customer, if you're going to make comments on a multi-page document, let me know what page you're on to make those comments. All right, can you share links from Adobe stock accounts too with potential clients? What do you mean by Adobe stock accounts? You can share a link to an Adobe stock image. There could be Adobe stock images in this document that I've licensed, but it depends on what you mean by share an account. That could be different. All right. So that is one way to do it. And again, that was only an issue because this is multi-page, and if this were on a single page, then we probably would know which image he's talking about. So I'd have to go back and say, Joe, which page are you referring to? And that would be easy enough to do. Okay, so we showed one way to do it. We showed actually the way to do it to an individual document. We talked about the way of doing it to a folder. And again, the folder would be sending a link to everything that's in the folder, can't make any changes, or collaborate, which means I put in an email address, and whoever I send this to, I could either choose can edit or can view. So can view is the same thing as sending the link. If I say can edit, they get access to everything in that folder. If they throw everything away in that folder, it throws it away on everyone's drive in that folder, just like all the other sharing folders do today. So be careful who you collaborate with. And you can send links to anybody and it will not come back to hurt you, or your files, I should say. Now, you'll also know which folders you've shared and how many people they've been shared to, because you'll get a little count right up here. So here's a shared folder with 43 other people. Here's one with 11 other people. So as you can see, it can be done with dozens of people. It does not have to be just one or two. My clients have almost filled my 20 gigs. Can I buy more? I get that question all the time, Kurt. And every time I check with Creative Cloud, they say, not yet. There's still not a mechanism for you to buy more space. I feel your pain, and I hear that, and I will pass it on to the Creative Cloud team, yet again, that customers are looking to buy more space. But for whatever reason, we haven't built in that thing that lets us sell you more space. Now, you could get a Creative Cloud team account, maybe just one, and that would give you 100 gigs of space. And that might be the equivalent of what it would cost anyway, I don't know for a fact, to buy more space. So look at Creative Cloud Teams if 20 gigs is not enough, and perhaps get one Creative Cloud team membership for one person, and that would give that person 100 gigs of space instead of 20. Okay, so that was one way to share via the website, files and folders. Let's talk about another way, which is one that came up yesterday during my live stream. So we're going to pop over to Photoshop. And in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Muse, Premiere, After Effects, Dreamweaver, just about all the desktop applications have Creative Cloud libraries. So depending on which application you're in, when you go up to the window menu, it will either say libraries or it will say CC libraries, depends on the application. All right, so in Photoshop, it's called libraries. That will bring up your library panel. And if you've never used CC libraries or libraries, then yours will be empty. You won't have a library there. So you can create a new library by going to Create New Library, just from the library panel. When you create a new library, of course, that creates it locally on your machine. Of course, syncs everything you put into it into Creative Cloud. So for example, I could say, create a new library, and we're going to call this one for my client. All right, of course, I would have more than one client for, let's say for Joe the customer. See how creative I'm not today? All right, so let's say for Joe the customer, and now it's empty, and I can put whatever assets in that I want. So for example, I was working on an image just earlier today. I can bring up that image. It was one that I think I was cutting out of the background, and I did. And so for example, I've got this layer ready to go, and I could just go ahead and add that in to the library. Once I add that image into the library, it's a large file, by the way, that will go in as a transparent layer ready to go. And right now, who sees this? Just me, because I'm the only one who have access to the libraries I create until I share them. So right now, this would be on both my computers. It's in my library panel on all my apps. It's also available to me in most of my Adobe mobile apps that use libraries. And so I've got that image pretty much accessible no matter what I'm in. Now, if I want Joe the customer to actually be able to access whatever I put in this library, the same rules apply. I go up to the flyout menu. I can either collaborate, which means Joe the customer would have to be a Creative Cloud customer in this case, and have access to Adobe apps where he could use the CC libraries panel. Or I could say share a link, and Joe the customer would be able to basically get a copy of everything in this library to put or to have in a Joe the customer library that he has, but would not make any changes to my library. So same things apply. Collaborate, sorry about that. Collaborate's bidirectional. So both Joe and I would be able to make changes to everything in the library. Share a link means only whoever you see send the link to gets a copy of it. They are not affecting my originals. So basically, here's a copy of the library, do whatever you want with it. Whatever you do to it will not affect mine. So it's whichever one you need to do. And of course, libraries are a Creative Cloud feature, so therefore you wouldn't share a library to a client that didn't have Creative Cloud. If you are a freelancer and you're working for a design shop and they've got Creative Cloud, then you could do all the work, put it in a library, share it to them. They would have access to it in their Creative Cloud. So if it's a non-Creative Cloud customer, you share files and folders. If it's a Creative Cloud customer or client, you share libraries or files and folders, up to you. And again, the beauty of the library is that it's available in all the desktop applications and most of the mobile applications. Okay, remember when I said, when I first started, that I just thought of one more way that I could probably talk about, and that is if you are a photographer and you're a Lightroom user. Aaron Roth is in the house, the Vice President of Marketing for Archon Mounts. They make great mounts. Check out Archon. Aaron Roth, say hi. All right, so anyway, if you are a photographer and you want to share images with your client, then what you can do is from Lightroom, you would put those images in a collection, which is a standard Lightroom feature. So I've got a collection called Aviatrix. And now if I've never done this before, I would go turn on the sync with Lightroom Mobile. So as a Creative Cloud customer, I get unlimited syncing space with Lightroom Mobile. So no 20 gig limit, does not impact my 20 gig limit. This is totally separate. So once I turn this on, so it's on right now, the only other thing I would have to do is I would see these little check boxes to the left of each collection. So that one's got a checkbox because it has not been synced. Once I click the checkbox to put the little sync icon in it, that means that Lightroom Mobile will then begin syncing everything in there, and that those images had already been synced before, so it happened instantly because they're in other collections. And so now those 8 images are in a collection ready to go. The minute I turn that on, this Make Public button appeared in the upper right corner. So now, same thing. I'm the only one that sees this collection right now. No one else sees it because it's private. If I click the Make Public button, I'm saying I want a link to this collection to share the photographs with the client. So if I go do that, it will generate a custom link to this collection only. And there's the link. And I can click to go to it or just copy it. And it will take me to the link, and the client would be able to see these 8 photos. They would only be able to see just these 8 photos. If I add more photos to it, they would be able to see them. And the client would also have the ability, just like we saw for the files and folders, they would be able to give it a heart if they like it, which is not in the files and folders, but they would also be able to write a comment. So if they wanted to comment on specific images, they could, and I would see those comments come back into Lightroom. So another way to share with your client. So that is one of the ways that people have always asked for feedback galleries, or just a way to share your images with your client, and they can pick the ones they want. So one of the ways you could do that is just instruct them, hey, put a heart next to all the ones you want, and those would be I would get those hearts back. So for example, let's say I click a heart on this one, and it even shows my icon because I'm logged into Creative Cloud. And if I go to the next one and click a heart, so I've clicked a heart on 2 of the photos. What has already happened is those heart selections have synced back up to Creative Cloud. And now if I go to Lightroom on that, see what happened? I got that little yellow flag on the collection letting me know that there are comments. So comments or hearts, they both would generate a yellow flag. So whether the person said anything or just gave hearts or did both, I would see that little yellow flag. That little yellow flag, if I were to right click, actually I can just click on it. I can click on it and say review the comments, and it will sort the ones with comments to the front of the collection. And I can see that 2 of them have comments. I don't know what they are until I scroll down, and I can see, oh, that's one like by Terry White. And if I click on this one, oh, that's another like by Terry White. If I click on this one that doesn't have one, it doesn't have one. So it doesn't have any comments or likes. So a great way to work with your client on this has made my day. Well, I'm glad, Tara, that this has made your day. And okay, Michael, good to know. I will suggest that to the Lightroom team, or you can, on the feedback form. Great feature for feedback. It is a great feature for feedback. I'm going to show you a top secret, not really top secret, but no one really realizes you can do this. So what do? We shared a collection. We made it public. Or actually, we created a collection. We synced the collection, then we made it public. That's it. That's the way everyone that uses Lightroom uses this feature. I'm going to show you a secret. If we go to the browser, right now I'm looking at the same link that the client looked at, so I can only see just these photos. But if I were to go log in myself at lightroom.adobe.com, that will let me, because I'm logging in as me, see all of my collections. And when I do that, it gives me an ability that I can't do from the desktop. It shows me all of my collections. I can see them all here, including the Aviatrix one we just did. And I get more control from here than I get from the desktop. So I see the public link. I get the ability to get embed code if I wanted to embed this as a gallery on my website. I also get the ability to add more options to the shared link. So if I click on the link, or where is it? If I click on, not that, where's the shared thing? There it is. If I click on the word shared, I can go to the shared settings. And from there, I can even choose, can the customer download their photos or not? You don't get to do that from the desktop. Will they see the metadata, like what camera was it taken with, what lens, so forth or not? If there's geotag information, do I want them to be able to see where the photos were taken? So I get to control all of those things from here. I also get to choose what kind of slideshow they would see and whether or not it loops. I also get to pick a cover image for what their gallery would look like. So if I wanted to pick a particular cover image, I could do that as well. So you get more control doing it from the website than you do just from sharing a collection, making a public link from Lightroom on the desktop. So just some hidden tips there for my photographers in the audience. And there's more, trust me. If you go to the web icon from here, and again, you're logged in as you at lightroom.adobe.com, then you get even more features. You get the ability to create a web gallery. And a web gallery, let's see if I can do one real quick here. Yeah, here we go. See how I get the ability, first of all, to drag the images around? I also get here I'll just go to one. You get the ability to choose a cover image. You get the ability to put in text. You get the ability to break it up image by image and putting dividers in. So if I go back here and I say that I want to, I forgot how to do it if I want to add in one in between. Let's see, I don't want to add photos. I want to create a gallery from this. I think I got to do it from here. Yep, Lightroom Web Gallery. This is okay. So I got to start with Lightroom Web Gallery in the shared settings. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a cover image. And let's save that. So now it's updating just my simple collection and making it into that web gallery that we talked about. So now I get the ability to add text. My Aviatrix shoot with Krista. And I can add a description, and I can go in and, again, add more things in between. So I can break up those images and add more text. I can add images from other collections. I can do all of this on the website and basically create a story based on those images. This is the Aviatrix theme. All right, so you get the idea. And of course, I can apply all that. And now they're getting something over and above, like their own custom website with your images, your description, your story, you're telling the whole thing, all built in to Creative Cloud, Lightroom, Lightroom Mobile. Whew. It's cool. Check it out. All right. So with that said, all right. So I hope you've seen all the various, just get a sampling of many of the various ways of sharing with your clients in more interesting ways than here's an email, here's a Dropbox link, here's a, FTP site link. Give them something that makes them want to pay you more money. Give them that experience that no one else is giving them. So that will help you, hopefully, justify that Creative Cloud membership that you're continuing to go with. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Yep, you're paying for other services to do these kind of features, I know. Every time I show Adobe Portfolio, which is myportfolio.com, people are always saying, hey, I was paying Squarespace to do the exact same thing. I'm already paying for this. This is built in. So go check it out. Experiment with the things you've learned today and go do more because there's more to be done. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching. Great interactions today and hope you got something out of this. And we'll catch you on the next one, which is tomorrow at the same time on a different channel. All right, stay tuned. Later, everybody.